Hey guys, it's Hink here. So we have the final chapter of basically my series on basically science-based pumping, okay? You know, it's your boy Hink. I'm going to bring it to you as science-based and factually sound as I can. And so what we're going to be looking at today is we've already talked about the perfect pressure that we need to pump with. We've talked about the perfect set time that we need to pump with. And so now this is going to be looking at the total duration of like how much total basically time under tension pumping do we need to maximize results. Before we get into that, guys, I'm doing another giveaway of my course, okay? I'm going to be picking a couple people from the group. It might be, today, or it might even be a week from now as far as when I select people. Sometimes I just pick comments I like and say, hey, hit me up and I'll give you the course. So all you have to do to win the course is just like the video, subscribe or be a subscriber, and leave a comment, okay? Any comments in the chat will qualify for it, or you could even say, Hink, I want the course, please, something like that. So guys, let's get into it. We're gonna start with basically the highest tier literature first, okay? The human literature on enlargement, because guys, if you're on my channel, you're most likely looking for enlargement. And so if you haven't seen my video on the P-Long study, you really need to check it out because it definitely has its flaws, but in general, it's honestly probably the best human data that we have for penile enlargement with non-surgical means. But basically what they did in this trial is they combined pumping, a citrulline-based supplement, PRP shot, and an extender, and showed that you can have dramatic improvement in size. What did they use for the pumping portion of this? Well, I'll quote it to you. I mean, it's still kind of funny. They said they recommend between 5 and 10 millimeters of mercury, which is like an infinitesimally small amount. He really meant between 5 to 10 inches of mercury, and I did clarify that with him in my live stream. But it says vacuum suction was applied for 1 minute, then released, reapplied for another 1 minute, then released, and then reapplied for 5 minutes, then released, and then reapplied for another 5 minutes, and then released. So basically what that means, and this was done twice a day. So they were doing a total of 22 minutes pumping daily. So basically 2 separate 11 or 12 minute sessions. So we have that human data. So next we have this little talked about paper that I actually really like. It's called Permanent Non-Surgical Enhancement, which used a combination of manual stretches, of course, which I also am very pro manual stretches, and it also combines pumping. And so what they did is they said vigorous stretching massage used for 10 minutes, then the application of a vacuum pump for a period of at least 30 minutes, starting with a time of 2 to 3 minutes and building up over a couple of weeks to the full 30-minute period. So in this trial, they're recommending pumping for no more than 30 minutes total and gradually working your way up for the time. So of course now, we're going to be starting going into animal data, okay? I've made these videos on anti-lysyl oxidase that you really should check it out. They're really good videos. Watch it after this. But basically in these studies, they were using anti-lysyl oxidase or anti-LOX, a substance that helps to break down the collagen bonds and allows for more enlargement of the tunica of the penis, which allows for more enlargement of the penis. They proved that that substance very, very efficiently does that, but it comes with its flaws. Check out the video after this. But what they used in these techniques was this: a negative pressure of 300 millimeters of mercury, which is what I recommend trying to pump to if you can eventually get there, performed twice a day with a 2-minute interval in between them daily for each session lasting 5 minutes. So 5 minutes on, 2-minute break, 5 minutes on is what they were recommending for these rat studies. So that's a total of about 10 minutes under pressure per day. Here's a part 2 of the study where they actually looked at rats of different age. They basically took rats, like not quite newborn rats, but rats going through puberty, and then adult rats, and compared them to see which one had better gains. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen my video on age and how it relates to PE, you should really check it out because I break this down in detail. But they found that the rats that were basically going through puberty had better gains than the adult rats. So something to think about. But they used essentially the same technique: 5 minutes on, 2-minute break, 5 minutes on, pumping to 300 millimeters of mercury. And as you all are familiar with, I also made several videos about basically this rehab pumping that they do in rats kind of recovering from nerve crush injuries. Now, this is different for pumping for enlargement purposes, but it's still relevant. And what did they do in these studies? Well, in this first study that was looking at trying to determine what was the ideal pumping pressure, they did basically the standard, which I would say is 5 minutes on, 2-minute break, 5 minutes on. But then in the follow-up to this study, which I talked about in my most recent video about like what is the optimum set length, they basically looked at either a 2-minute, 3-minute, 2-minute, 3-minute, with 2-minute breaks in between, a 4-minute, 3-minute, 3-minute, or a 5-minute, and then a 5-minute, or just one straight 10-minute set. The bottom line is they were only pumping for 10 minutes total. They were just doing it in either like an interval pumping technique or at most a one straight set technique. But in this study, they found that the ideal routine as far as minimizing the risk of fibrosis and the markers of fibrosis, maximizing the oxygenated blood, minimizing any kind of smooth muscle damage, and maximizing nitric oxide was going to be that 5-minute, then 2-minute, then 5-minute break was the best. And then second best was going to be that 4-minute, 3-minute, 3-minute. And once again, if you actually look at the penile length in this chart here, you can see that the 5-minute set time actually led to the best enlargement in penile length as well. So back to some human data, we're going to look at Peyronie's disease, okay? So yes, Peyronie's disease can be corrected by pumping. What did they look at in this study? Well, they looked at doing 10-minute session twice a day. So a total of 20 minutes daily. In this routine, it was basically a twice a day approach with 10 minutes. And here's another study looking at Peyronie's disease. And lo and behold, it's basically the same thing, okay? It's 10 minutes twice daily. I mean, based on the data we literally just talked about, that is not the ideal routine, especially when you're dealing with Peyronie's disease. But the data are, because data is actually plural, the data are what the data are, okay? So let's look at good old Bathmate, okay? That's spamming the internet and buying up influencers to get you to buy their products. But back to the video. So here's a quote from Bathmate. To get the very best results when you use your Bathmate, we recommend exercising, okay, whatever that means, 10 to 15 minutes per day. We suggest that you use the Bathmate for 5 minutes at a time during your exercise session to see the best possible results. So I actually have one of these devices, and when I looked at the instructions, it actually said 3 sets of 5 minutes. Of those 5 minutes, basically 3 minutes were under pressure, and then there was a 2-minute break in between. You know, I'm not trying to talk too much crap about this company, but I really don't get the impression their research and development team looked at the actual data on pumping to try to say what is the ideal pumping format. But regardless, Bathmate is saying you should not pump for more than 15 minutes a day. And finally, guys, we're going to go through some rapid fire on this penile rehabilitation. So pumping for basically erectile dysfunction or after prostate surgery. So here's a paper that says use it for 10 to 15 minutes twice a day. So that would be a total max time of 30 minutes per day. Here's next a paper that says you want to use it until you get basically a full erection in the penis under the pressure, and then relax for or use that for 2 minutes and then relax the penis, and then repeat that process for a total of 10 consecutive times. So more or less, that's when the penis is erect in the pump for a total of about 20 minutes of working time. Here's another paper that says 10 minutes per day. Okay, so a total of 10 minutes per day, 5 days a week. Here's another paper that says 3 to 5 minutes every 2 to 3 days, so very low total time. Here's another one saying 5 minutes, and then a short break, and another 5 minutes once daily, so a total time of 10 minutes. And so in general, there was this review in Nature that basically said anywhere between basically 3 to 10 minutes, okay? But once again, guys, this is primarily in the either setting of erectile dysfunction or prostate surgery. So guys, here are my conclusions, okay? Number one, okay, if you are doing this for rehabilitation purposes, then you want to do basically 2 sets of 5 minutes with a 2-minute break in between, and you can do that 1 to 2 times per day. So a max of about 20 minutes of time per day, but you want to be pumping to that lower pressure of about 200 millimeters of mercury. And I know you guys are used to hearing inches of mercury, but I'm sorry, I guess it's the metric system in these pumping. It's such a more clear system, and it makes more sense than inches of mercury, or HG as we like to say in the Getting Bigger community. If you are going for penile growth based on my interpretation of this data and using the human studies that we have, I think the absolute max time is going to be 30 minutes, okay? You do not, under any circumstances, in my opinion, want to pump longer than 30 minutes per day. Now, guys, and I've said this so many times before, it is your D. If you want to pump more than that and you think that that's better for you, then you do your thing, okay? I am a very conservative guy. I want to have a functioning PP in many, many years to come. When I'm 80, heaven forbid 90 years old, but I'm a tall guy and tall guys die early, but I still want to have a functioning PP. So if you want to be all risque, just do what you want to do, okay? Don't take my advice. Based on the data I'm finding, I would never exceed 30 minutes. I think the goal time should be between 20 to 30 minutes daily. Now, if I had all the time in the world, I would probably do 15 minutes of pumping in the morning and 15 minutes of pumping in the evening. I would. That's how I'd break it up. And if that didn't work, then I would do typically I do a 5-minute warm-up set, and then I would do 3 sets of either 5 to 7 minutes, just depending on how I was feeling and how much edema. And so once again, it's still less than that total time of 30 minutes. And guys, this isn't great data to hang our hats on, but we do have data showing that it's safe, it's effective, and we even have data showing like above what set time we start to see markers of fibrosis and smooth muscle damage and penile damage and lack of oxygen. And so like we do have decent science to bake these conclusions off of. We don't need to be in this like dark period where you just listen to some random guy on the internet on a random blog or Thunder's Place or whatever it may be that just like sounds confident in the way he says things. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that because that guy says it. Like I always say, guys, like I don't want you to just take my word for it. Okay. I try to analyze the data and I make my conclusions, and hopefully what I'm saying makes sense to you for you to form your own conclusions. I never want you to just blindly listen to me and be like, oh, well, he said it, so there you go. Let's just do that. Form your own independent conclusions, guys. But guys, that'll do it for today. If you want to support me and Callie, the links are in the description below. If you need to reach me for personal consultation, I do it through my Patreon. The link is in the description. It's patreon.com/DocKing. Remember, guys, there's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but you are enough just as you are. All right, guys, really appreciate you. Don't forget about the course sign up, okay? Not the course sign up, but the course giveaway, okay? And of course, if you're not patient, you want to wait, and you don't want to wait to see if I, select one of the 100 comments on this post or whatever, then just go ahead and buy the course. It's worth it, guys. All right, catch you in the next one. Peace and love.
Dr. Hink got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. In the clinic, no vanishing. Yeah, with Doc Hink, it's the way back.